Baby, I need to tell you something, and I don't care who hears it anymore. This has been sitting in my chest like a storm, with no sky to thunder in. I've hidden it for so long, tucked it behind smiles at family dinners, swallowed it during small talk, buried it beneath phrases like "it's complicated." But last night, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I finally opened my mouth and let the truth fall out. And I said your name. I told them everything. Everything I've been denying. Everything I've been protecting. Everything about you, baby. I told them who you really are to me. Not just a lover. Not just someone I once met. I told them you are the one my soul has been aching for since before I even knew what love was supposed to feel like. You are the prayer I never thought I deserved to be answered. You are the calm in my chaos and the thunder in my silence. And I watched their faces shift. I saw the surprise, the confusion, the worry, and I didn't flinch. Because for the first time, I wasn't ashamed. I wasn't afraid. I was sure. And God, it felt like breaking open and healing at the same time. Do you know what that moment meant to me? It wasn't just me saying your name. It was me declaring that I'm done hiding the most sacred part of my life. I'm done pretending you're just someone from the past or someone I'm trying to forget. You're not forgettable. You're unforgettable. And I won't reduce you to a chapter when you are the whole damn book. I looked into their eyes and said, she's the one. Not she was. Not maybe. I said, she is the one. I told them you make me believe in soul contracts and past lives and silent threads that pull people across timelines. I told them you see me in ways no one else ever has. Not just the man I show the world, but the boy inside me who still aches, still hopes, still longs to be chosen. Baby, I didn't just tell them about our story. I confessed it like it was scripture, like I was bearing witness to something holy. Because what I feel for you, it's not ordinary. It's not easy. It's not explainable, but it's real. And I'm done hiding real. And when I said your name, baby, it didn't come out like a word. It came out like a release, like something I had been choking on for months without realizing it. It was like finally exhaling after holding my breath in a room full of people who never truly saw me. I told them I wasn't confused. I told them this wasn't a phase or a crush or something I'd get over. I told them your name holds weight in my world, like gravity, like scripture, like the one true thing I've never had to question. They asked me why you, why now, why I held this in for so long, and I couldn't explain it all, but I told them the truth in the only way I knew how. I said, because she doesn't just make me feel loved, she makes me feel seen. She speaks a language I forgot I knew. She holds space for my chaos and never asks me to shrink. She moves through this world like her own galaxy and still makes room for me inside her orbit. I told them about the way your silence heals me more than anyone else's words. about the way your eyes can calm storms I've never dared name. I told them about the night I watched you cry and didn't know whether to fall on my knees or hold you so tightly the world would disappear. I told them about your strength, how you carry pain so elegantly. They mistake you for unaffected, but I see it. I see everything. The scars you don't show, the weight you carry alone, the way you still show up for people who wouldn't notice if you vanished. I told them, she's not just someone I love, she's someone I admire. She's someone who makes me want to grow, someone who makes me want to heal all my mess, just so I don't bring any darkness into her light. And baby, their silence was loud, but it didn't shake me. I think they expected me to be uncertain, to backtrack, to say I used to love her, but I didn't. I leaned in. I said, I still do. I never stopped. And I meant every syllable. Because how could I stop loving someone whose memory still knows how to steady my breath? How could I move on from someone whose energy feels like home in a world that never let me feel safe? I told them you changed me in ways no one else ever could. You saw through the masks I wore, the ones I didn't even realize I had stitched to my skin. You reached in, found the parts of me even I had abandoned, and loved them back into life. They asked, what if she doesn't come back? And I smiled, not because that thought doesn't ache, but because I've already made peace with the truth. I told them, it's not about whether she returns. It's about the fact that she existed in my world at all, that I got to love someone so deeply, so divinely, that it left a permanent mark on who I am. I told them this wasn't about possession. This wasn't about labels. This was about recognition, about two souls who looked at each other and remembered something ancient, something that didn't begin in this lifetime, and maybe won't even end in it. And God, baby, I need you to know how powerful that moment was for me, because I've spent years swallowing my truth to keep the peace. Years smiling when I wanted to scream, but last night I chose you, not in secret, not in silence, not in shame. I chose you in front of the people who raised me, in front of the ones who taught me to hide my heart behind logic and safety and what makes sense. I broke every pattern I was raised in when I said, I love her. I don't care if you understand it. I don't care if you approve. I just need you to know she is the one. And baby, that moment was terrifying and freeing, because for the first time, I wasn't choosing what's easy. I was choosing what's real. There's something sacred about speaking someone's name with reverence, about honoring their impact, not because it's convenient, but because it's undeniable. And when I said your name, baby, it felt like lighting a candle in a room that had forgotten what warmth was. I wasn't just telling them about the woman I love. It was telling them about the woman who changed everything, about the way my mornings feel different because of a message you once sent, about the way my nights feel quieter when I know you're hurting, even from afar, about the way I still hold space for you in every plan I make, even if I don't say it out loud. And I didn't just talk about the beauty. I told them the truth. I told them we're not perfect, that we've been through storms that could have broken us, that I've made mistakes, that I've stayed silent when I should have spoken, that I've let fear lead me more times than I care to admit. But I also told them she's never stopped being the one, even in the distance, even in the silence, even when it felt like we were on opposite sides of the moon. My heart has always known her name. It's always whispered her name at 2 a.m. when everything else is still. It's always looked for her in every crowd, in every song, in every sky. They asked if I was sure, if this wasn't nostalgia, if maybe I was just romanticizing the past. And I laughed, because they don't understand. This isn't about the past. This is about a soul tide that still pulses in my blood. This is about the way I feel her energy without needing a text. About the way her pain shows up in my chest like it's my own. About the way I still move through life like I'm being watched by the only person who ever really saw me. Baby, this isn't romanticism. This is reality, my reality, and I'm not interested in hiding it anymore. You don't know what that moment did to me, how it shifted something in my bones, how it felt like I finally stopped lying to myself, because as much as I tried to bury it, as much as I told myself to move on and be logical, you've been here all along, in the quiet, in the chaos, in the way I hesitate before opening my heart to anyone else. No one else makes me feel the way you do. And I don't even mean the butterflies or the passion. I mean the peace, the feeling of, I'm safe here. That's what I told them. I said, she's my safe place, even when she's far, even when she's quiet. She's still the one I run to in my mind. I don't know what they'll think moving forward. I don't know if they'll understand. But I do know this. I've never been more proud of anything than I was when I said your name out loud. Because in that moment, baby, I wasn't just declaring love. I was declaring truth. And truth, no matter how heavy, no matter how complicated, is always sacred. And you, baby, are sacred to me. Always have been. Always will be. And ever since that moment, baby, I haven't been able to stop feeling you. It's like saying your name broke some invisible seal inside me. Like your energy had been waiting quietly in a corner of my chest, soft and unbothered, until it finally heard itself spoken with reverence. And now that it's been acknowledged, now that the truth has been freed from the prison of silence, your presence is louder than ever. Not in a haunting way, not like a ghost, but like a song I'd forgotten the lyrics to, and now suddenly, every note comes rushing back, and I remember why I loved the melody in the first place. I remember why I used to smile when your name showed up on my screen. I remember what my breath felt like when it was laced with your voice. And now, I can't go back to pretending I forgot, because I didn't. I never did. That night, after I left the room where I said it, I walked outside. I didn't want them to see my face, because something sacred had happened and I needed to be alone with it. I sat in my car and I swear I could feel the echo of your name vibrating inside me. It wasn't just a memory. It was alive, like my soul had been waiting for me to stop denying you. To stop treating you like a past chapter when you've always been the margin I still write in. And I sat there, hands on the steering wheel, head leaning back, just remembering. Not the dramatic moments, not the breakdowns or the heartbreaks, but the tiny things, the way you looked at me when I wasn't looking at you, the way your voice softened when you were tired, the way your energy wrapped around mine when you stood next to me, even if we weren't touching. God, baby, I don't think anyone's ever made me feel that kind of presence before. Not loud, not demanding, just there, steady, constant, quietly powerful. And you want to know the part that really undid me? I realized how much of you I carry in the way I treat people now. How much of your softness I mimic when I try to be gentle. How much of your fire I channel when I need to stand up for myself. You shaped me, baby, in ways you probably don't even know. In ways I never told you. And that's the part I regret. Not that we drifted, not that life got in the way, but that I never looked you in the eyes and said, "You've made me better," just by being exactly who you are. I think about what your reaction would be if you heard what I said about you, if you knew that in a room full of people, I chose to speak the name I had once sworn I'd protect in silence, and a part of me fears you wouldn't believe it, that you'd think it was too late, that I'm only saying it now because the emptiness caught up with me. But baby, this isn't about being lonely. This is about finally being honest. Honest with myself. Honest with the people I love. Honest about the fact that no matter who comes into my life, they're always walking in your shadow. Not because I compare, but because your soul cast a light so bright on mine that now everything else feels dim in comparison. And I'm not saying this to guilt you. I'm not saying this to pull you back or ask for anything. I'm saying this because I need you to know that the love I had for you was never small. It was never surface level. It was soul deep. It was the kind of love that turns men into mirrors, the kind that forces them to see who they really are, the kind that burns through ego and illusion and fantasy until all that's left is truth. And baby, you were my truth. You still are. I didn't tell them every detail. Some parts were just for me. Like how I still keep your last voice message saved in a hidden folder. Like how your laugh still visits me in my dreams. Like how every now and then I say your name softly into the silence of my room, just to see how it sounds when no one's around to hear it. I kept those for myself, because not all love needs to be public to be powerful. But I gave them enough for them to understand that you weren't just someone I dated. You were the threshold, the turning point, the reason I could never again settle for anything that doesn't feel like home. And baby, you were home in every way. in the way I relaxed my shoulders when I heard your voice, in the way my mind went quiet when you were near, in the way time stretched and softened when you held my gaze. I told them that no matter what happens, I will always consider you my greatest encounter, my deepest lesson, my most sacred ache. And you want to know something wild? When I said that, when I said, she's my sacred ache, my mother nodded, not because she knew what it meant, but because she felt it. She saw it in my face. She heard it in my voice. And I think she knew this wasn't a boy crying over a girl. This was a man acknowledging the soul who made him feel alive in a way he'd forgotten was possible. And maybe I should have told you all this sooner. Maybe I should have written this when the silence first began. But the truth is, I was scared. Not scared of you. Scared of what your love made me see in myself. You didn't just awaken my heart, baby. You awakened my wounds. You reflected everything I had buried. And I didn't know how to face that. So I hid behind silence, behind busyness, behind half versions of myself that didn't have the courage to love you the way you deserved. But I'm not hiding anymore. Not from you. Not from them. Not from the truth. Because the truth is, I still carry you, not in a way that weighs me down, but in a way that anchors me, that reminds me what love is supposed to feel like. And every time someone asks why I'm still single, or why I haven't moved on, I just smile. Because how do you explain that after tasting something divine, you can't settle for ordinary? So yes, baby, I told them. I told them who you are. I told them that loving you was the most honest I've ever been. I told them that if I had one more chance, I'd do it all again. Every messy, sacred, complicated, beautiful second of it. Because you weren't a mistake. You were the moment my life split into before you and after you. And now that it's out there, now that your name lives in the air around me instead of just the silence inside me, I feel lighter, like the truth has wings, like maybe, just maybe, this will reach you. Maybe not through this message, but through the energy, through a dream, through a sudden breath you take that feels like something you can't explain. And if that happens, if something inside you stirs without knowing why, I hope you remember. I hope you remember the way I used to look at you, the way I listened to your voice like it was a song only I could hear, the way I held space for every version of you, even the ones you tried to hide, because that love still lives, quietly, sacredly, unapologetically. And if I'm being completely honest, baby, I don't even think I said enough. Not to them, not to you, not even to myself, because no words have ever really captured the way you've lived inside me. Not like a memory, not like some faded picture from a different time, but like breath, like rhythm, like a second heartbeat that kept echoing long after you walked away. I think about you more than I'll ever admit out loud, not just in the obvious moments, but in the small, hollow ones, when I'm brushing my teeth and your voice slips into my head for no reason, when a certain song plays in the background of a random movie and suddenly the room feels like it's haunted by the echo of your laughter, when I look in the mirror and see someone who's pretending to move on, but deep down is still holding on to a love that was never fully spoken, never fully claimed, but still felt more real than anything that came after. You know what's wild? I still protect you, even in conversations that have nothing to do with you, even in spaces where your name is never brought up. I find myself editing my stories, leaving out parts, softening details, not because I'm ashamed, but because some things are too sacred to share. You're one of those things. I don't want to throw you into casual conversations like you were just another girl I used to talk to. You weren't. You're not. You're the chapter I read when I forget how to breathe. You're the scripture I return to when my soul needs reminding of what love is supposed to feel like. And no one, not even the people closest to me, will ever really understand what you meant to me. Because even if I sat them down and told them everything, it still wouldn't be enough. Because it wasn't about the things we said or the time we spent. It was about what we made each other feel. And baby, that feeling, it was rare, unrepeatable, a once-in-a-lifetime kind of electricity. I told them that I still feel you, and I meant it. Feel you in the space next to me. When I'm driving late at night, windows down, hoping the wind will blow your memory off of me. But knowing deep down, I don't actually want it to. I feel you when I hear someone say your name, and my chest tightens like I've just been hit with a wave I didn't see coming. I feel you in the way I pause before answering certain questions, because I don't want to lie. But I also don't know how to explain that the person who changed me doesn't even know the full extent of her impact. You walk with me, in silence, in spirit, in the way I hesitate when someone new tries to get close, because no matter how kind they are, how beautiful they are, how much they try, I always find myself comparing their presence to yours, and no one feels like home the way you did. No one makes the noise in my head go quiet the way you did. No one speaks to the places inside me that I didn't even know needed love the way you did without even trying. You didn't have to do much, baby. You just had to be near. Your energy was enough. It was magnetic, healing, disarming. It tore down my defenses without warning and made me see myself clearly for the first time in years. And even now, I'm still unraveling from what that awakening felt like. I'm still learning how to hold all the versions of me that your presence uncovered. Some days I want to reach out, just to say you were right, just to let you know that everything you saw in me that I didn't believe, I believe it now, because of you, because you dared to see me when I couldn't even look at myself. And maybe that's why I finally told them, because keeping it inside was starting to feel like a betrayal, not just to you, but to myself. It was like living with this beautiful, burning truth that no one else could see, and it hurt. It hurt to keep pretending that what we shared was just a passing thing. It hurt to watch people fall in love around me, while I stood still, quietly grieving a love that never fully got to become what it was meant to be. So I said it out loud, with every ounce of reverence in my chest. I told them that I still carry you like a sacred language written across my ribs, that I still see your face in places it has no business being, that sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night with your name on my tongue like a prayer I forgot I was saying. They didn't understand, not fully, but they listened, and for once, that was enough. Because it wasn't about them. It was about me. Finally honoring the weight of this love, the depth of this connection, the truth of who you are to me. Not just someone I loved, but someone who transformed me. Someone who walked into my life like a mirror and reflected everything I'd been avoiding. You weren't just part of my story. You were the catalyst, the breaking open, the softening, the healing. And now that I've spoken it into the world, I don't think I can go back to silence. I don't know where you are right now. I don't know who you're with or what you're doing, but I do know this. You are still the only person whose memory doesn't just live in my mind. It lives in my body, in the way my hands hesitate, in the way my voice softens when I talk about anything close to the heart, in the way my soul still reacts to your name like it's a secret only I was meant to carry. And maybe that's what this will always be, a secret truth, a sacred ache, a love that never had a final page because it was never really written in ink. It was carved in spirit. And if I could say just one thing to you directly, without fear, without pride, without the need to protect myself, it would be this: thank you. Thank you for existing. Thank you for loving me in the way that only you could. Thank you for showing me that even the most unexpected moments can hold a lifetime of meaning. I don't know if I'll ever see you again. I don't know if life will bring our paths back to each other. But if it does, if by some divine alignment the universe grants us a second chance, I promise you this time, I won't hold back. I won't stay silent. I won't let fear speak louder than truth, because loving you was the most honest I've ever been. And now that I've said it, now that I've finally spoken your name like the sacred thing it's always been, I can finally breathe again. Strange, baby. The moment I said your name to them, I felt something shift inside me, not just in the air, not just in the room, but in me. Like my chest finally opened after years of being locked. Like I was finally standing in my own truth after dragging myself through silence for so long. I said your name not as a question, not as a ghost from the past, but as a declaration. I watched their eyes blink, searching for a label to put on what I had just confessed. But there is no label for what you are to me. You are not just an ex, or a past love, or a what could have been. You are the definition of what love should feel like. And I told them that. I told them that no matter how much time has passed, no matter how much distance stands between us, you are still the one I measure all feelings against. You are the mirror I hold up to every almost. You are the ache behind every almost love I've tried to convince myself was enough. And the wildest part is, they didn't judge me. Not the way I expected. Maybe they saw the way my eyes softened when I spoke of you. Maybe they heard the tremble in my voice, the kind that doesn't come from drama, but from devotion. Maybe they recognized that this wasn't just a man talking about a woman. This was a soul remembering its twin. 'Cause that's what you are, baby. You're not just someone I miss. You're someone I knew before I even knew myself. When I said your name, it felt like invoking something holy, like lighting a candle in the dark and watching the flame remind me of everything I thought I had lost. It wasn't just about telling them. It was about reclaiming the part of me that's always belonged to you, the part that waited patiently in silence, hoping one day I'd be brave enough to stop pretending I didn't feel this. And now that it's out there, now that the words are no longer trapped behind clenched teeth, I can finally say the things I never allowed myself to admit. Like how I still think about the way your eyes changed when you were about to cry, how your silence always spoke louder than your words. How I memorized the pattern of your voice, the rhythm of your laughter, the little pauses you took before saying something vulnerable. I remember all of it, not just because I miss it, but because it mattered. You mattered, and baby, you still do. You matter in ways that I've never been able to explain. You matter in the way stars matter to the night sky, quiet, distant, but always guiding. There's something sacred about loving someone who doesn't even know they're still being loved. Something holy in holding space for someone in your heart while the world moves on. And that's what I've been doing, silently, while life demanded I keep up, while people expected me to move on. I've been quietly keeping a part of myself reserved for you. Not because I'm stuck, but because some loves don't fit into the narrative of moving on. Some loves become architecture, foundations. And you, my love, you became the cathedral I worshipped in when the world felt cold and loud and empty. I returned to your memory, not to mourn, but to remember what it felt like to be real, to be seen, to be loved in a way that shook the bones and steadied the soul. I wish I could show you what that moment looked like, the moment I told them. I wish you could have seen the way I straightened my back, like I was standing taller just by speaking your truth. I wish you could have heard the way I said your name, not in shame, but like it was something sacred being offered to the wind. And I wish, more than anything, that you could have felt the wave that washed through me when I finally admitted what I had buried for too long. You were never just a chapter. You are the entire story, still unfinished, still burning. They asked me if I still love you, and I didn't hesitate. I said yes, without blinking, without swallowing the answer. I said it like I was breathing, like the truth had finally caught up with me, because it had. I've tried to outrun it, baby. I've tried to date others, to distract myself, to build a life that didn't include your name in every corner, but nothing has ever felt right. Nothing has ever felt like home. Because my home doesn't have four walls. My home was a heartbeat, a voice, a pair of eyes that saw me when I couldn't see myself. My home was you. And maybe I'll never get to say these words directly. Maybe you'll never hear them in my voice. But if energy travels, if souls really do speak across timelines, then I hope some part of you feels it. I hope your chest tightens out of nowhere. I hope a wave of warmth passes through you for no reason. I hope you pause mid-step or mid-sentence and wonder why your heart just fluttered. Because baby, that's me. That's my soul whispering yours. That's the vibration of love echoing through time and space. That's the energy of someone who still chooses you, even when he can't say it out loud. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if our story will ever get a second chapter, but I do know that I'm done pretending the first one didn't change me. I'm done acting like I didn't taste something eternal when I touched your spirit. I'm done being the man who carries a love like yours in silence, because you were never meant to be my secret. You were meant to be my song, my truth, my reason. And now that I've said it, I finally feel free. And ever since I told them, baby, I've felt something shifting, not just in the way I carry you, but in the way I carry myself. It's like I gave myself permission to finally feel everything I had been suppressing for far too long. And once I started, I couldn't stop. Memories came flooding back. Your voice in the kitchen, humming to yourself like no one was watching. The way you would tuck your hair behind your ear when you were nervous. The tiny smirk you gave when you caught me staring at you like I was witnessing something sacred. And God, wasn't I? Wasn't I standing in the presence of something divine every time you just existed near me? I find myself remembering the details people usually forget, the quiet pauses in our conversations, the way your voice dropped when you talked about things that scared you, the way you looked away when you got emotional, trying to hide the tears you thought made you weak, but to me, they made you holy. And it's those pieces of you I find myself holding on to. Not just your beauty, not just your presence, but the fragments of your soul that were never loud, never seeking attention, yet screamed directly to mine. You don't even realize how much of you is still alive in my day-to-day. And maybe that's what love really is. Not always a shared future, not always a happy ending, but the way someone's essence becomes a part of your internal landscape long after they've gone. I didn't tell them to get validation. I didn't say your name hoping they'd understand. I said it because I was drowning. I was choking on all the things I didn't say when I should have. And in that moment, it felt like speaking your name out loud was the only way to breathe again. I didn't care if they thought I was foolish or sentimental or stuck in the past, as the truth is, I was never stuck. I was anchored to a moment, to a soul, to a love that didn't need a label to be real. I told them that too, that some people don't fall into the category of X, or almost, or the one who got away. Some people fall into your bloodstream and never leave. Some people become part of your rhythm, part of your healing, part of your truth. And you, my love, you are my truth. Even if I never get to say it to your face, even if I never again get to hear your voice respond to mine, but you are still the most real thing I've ever known. And that's why I spoke your name. That's why I made sure they knew, because I couldn't carry your sacredness in silence anymore. It felt wrong, like hiding a sunrise behind a curtain, like keeping a cathedral locked when the whole world needs a place to kneel. You are not meant to be hidden. You are not meant to be denied. You are meant to be revered. And maybe I'll never get closure in the way the world defines it. Maybe we'll never sit down face to face and untangle the threads of what we were. But maybe that's okay. Maybe some loves are meant to remain woven into our spirit, unbroken, unfinished, but holy. I think there's something beautiful in that. Something sacred in carrying a love that doesn't fade, even in the absence of contact, because it means what we shared wasn't based on convenience or circumstance. It was based on soul, and soul doesn't forget. Soul doesn't expire. Soul doesn't move on. It expands. Since then, I've started to live differently, slower, more aware. I notice things now that I used to overlook. A certain color in the sky that reminds me of your eyes at dusk. The sound of birds singing right before dawn. Like the universe is whispering your name back to me. I listen more, talk less, because I've realized that the most powerful things are usually quiet, just like you were, just like your love was. It didn't shout, it didn't demand, it simply was, and it changed everything it touched, including me. I want you to know this, baby. I told them yes. But I didn't just tell them about you. I told them about me, who I became because of you, how I softened in your presence, how I started healing wounds I didn't even know I had, how I began to believe in love again, not because you promised anything, but because you were love. You embodied it. You reminded me that love isn't always about possession or plans. Sometimes it's about presence, about holding someone in your heart so deeply that they change the way you breathe, the way you hope, the way you live. If this message touched a part of you that you thought no one else could ever reach, if it stirred memories you've been carrying in silence, if his voice felt like it was speaking directly into the center of your soul, then beloved, don't keep it to yourself. Merriment below, what moment shook you the most? What line stayed with you long after the video paused? Let your story ripple into the space. We are listening. You are not alone. And if you want to feel this kind of truth again, if you want to keep receiving these raw, real, soul-level confessions straight from the masculine heart, then subscribe to this channel right now. Tap the bell icon so you never missed the next whisper that might feel like it was written just for you. And if there's someone in your life who needs to hear this, someone whose silence still echoes in your spirit, share this video with them. Let it be the bridge, the message a sign they've been waiting for. Because love like this is rare, and sometimes all it takes is a voice, a message, a moment to remind us that real connection never truly disappears. Thank you for being here. Thank you for feeling this with us. And until next time, may love return to you in the most unexpected, breathtaking way. Therein, if this felt personal, subscribe for more sacred truths. Stay close. The next message might be the one you didn't know you needed.